in the shadowy underbelly of America's Prohibition era. One man's name rose above all others: Al Capone, known as Scarface. His journey from a poor immigrant boy in Brooklyn to the ruthless kingpin of Chicago's criminal underworld is a story of ambition, cunning, and unimaginable violence. While much is known about his empire, the intricate details of Capone's life reveal the calculated genius and cold-hearted brutality that cemented his legacy as one of history's most notorious crime lords. Humble beginnings, the seeds of power. Alphonse Gabriel Capone was born in 1899 in Brooklyn, New York, to Italian immigrant parents. His father was a barber, and his mother a seamstress. Life was a constant struggle for the family, living in cramped tenements and scraping by on meager earnings. Despite the hardships, young Al showed promise. He was bright, a quick learner, and had a knack for making friends. But beneath the charm lay a restless energy and a rebellious spirit. At age 14, after an altercation with a teacher who humiliated him in front of his classmates, Capone struck back and was expelled from school. Humiliated and angry, he turned to the streets. Brooklyn's bustling neighborhoods were rife with opportunity for a boy willing to take risks. It wasn't long before Capone found himself in the company of the 5 Points Gang, a notorious group of criminals who saw potential in the sharp-witted teenager. The scar that defined him. Capone's transformation into Scarface came during his time as a bouncer at the Harvard Inn, a bar owned by gangster Frankie Yale. One fateful night, Capone made a crude comment to a woman at the bar, earning the ire of her brother. The man slashed Capone's face with a knife, leaving him with a deep, permanent scar. While Capone initially tried to hide the disfigurement, it became a defining part of his persona. He would later claim the nickname Scarface with pride, a symbol of his resilience and his refusal to back down from a fight. The move to Chicago, a dangerous opportunity. By 1919, Capone had gained enough notoriety to attract the attention of Johnny Torrio, a powerful crime boss operating in Chicago. Torrio invited Capone to join his organization, promising wealth and power in exchange for loyalty. Capone accepted and moved to the Windy City, leaving behind the small-time crimes of Brooklyn for the grander schemes of Chicago's burgeoning underworld. Chicago was a city in turmoil, its streets ruled by gangs fighting over territory, money, and influence. Torrio saw in Capone not just muscle but brains, a man who could handle the intricacies of running an empire while being ruthless enough to eliminate threats. Torrio's trust was well placed. Within a year, Capone had risen to become Torrio's right-hand man, orchestrating complex smuggling operations and expanding their grip on the city. Prohibition, the golden age of crime. The 1920s ushered in Prohibition, a nationwide ban on the production, sale, and transport of alcohol. While lawmakers envisioned a morally upright society, what they created was a massive black market for bootlegged liquor. For Capone, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. Capone and Torrio built an empire on illegal alcohol, running speakeasies, distilleries, and smuggling routes that brought in millions of dollars annually. But the success of their operations also attracted dangerous rivals. In 1925, Torrio was ambushed and nearly killed in a botched assassination attempt. Shaken, he handed over control of the empire to Capone and retired to Italy. At just 26 years old, Al Capone became the undisputed king of Chicago's underworld. The bloody reign of Scarface. Capone's rise to power was anything but peaceful. Rival gangs constantly sought to challenge his dominance, and Capone responded with brutal efficiency. His reputation as a ruthless enforcer grew. But it was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre of 1929 that solidified his place in infamy. On February 14th, Capone orchestrated the murder of 7 members of the rival North Side Gang, led by Bugs Moran, disguised as police officers. Capone's men cornered their victims in a warehouse and executed them in cold blood. The massacre sent shockwaves through the city and made national headlines. painting Capone as the face of organized crime in America. Fear is a powerful tool. Capone reportedly said, "Use it wisely, and you'll never lose control." A life of luxury and paranoia. Capone's wealth and influence allowed him to live a life of extraordinary luxury. He owned sprawling mansions, wore custom-made suits, and dined on the finest foods. His generosity extended to the community, where he funded soup kitchens and provided aid during the Great Depression. To some, he was a modern-day Robin Hood. But behind the lavish lifestyle was a man consumed by paranoia. Capone surrounded himself with armed guards and rarely stayed in one place for long. He trusted no one, not even his closest associates. And his obsession with control led him to eliminate anyone he suspected of betrayal. The untouchables, the beginning of the end. Despite his attempts to bribe officials and intimidate witnesses, Capone couldn't escape the attention of law enforcement forever. Enter Eliot Ness, a federal agent tasked with dismantling Capone's empire. Ness and his team, nicknamed the Untouchables for their incorruptibility, launched a relentless campaign against Capone, targeting his speakeasies, smuggling routes, and financial records. While Capone's criminal activities were well known, securing evidence against him proved difficult. Ness eventually found his Achilles heel, tax evasion. Capone's failure to report his immense income gave the government the leverage they needed to bring him to justice. The fall of Scarface. In 1931, Al Capone was convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. His incarceration marked the end of an era. Initially imprisoned in Atlanta, Capone was later transferred to Alcatraz, the infamous island prison known for its harsh conditions. The once mighty kingpin found himself isolated, his power stripped away. Capone's time in prison took a severe toll on his health. Years of untreated syphilis began to affect his mind, and he became a shell of the man who had once ruled Chicago. In 1939, he was released early due to his declining condition and retreated to his mansion in Florida. The final chapter. Capone spent his final years in seclusion, plagued by dementia and haunted by the ghosts of his past. On January 25, 1947, he died of a heart attack, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most infamous figures in American history. Legacy of a crime lord. Al Capone's story is one of ambition and excess, of a man who clawed his way to the top only to be undone by his own hubris. His name remains synonymous with the dark side of the American dream, a reminder that even the most powerful empires are destined to fall. What do you think about Al Capone's story? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more thrilling tales from history. Thank you. And we'll see you in the next story.